So today we are cutting our first hay, first cutting, and we always try to start with this little piece. And this is right behind the barn. It's just 3 acres, but it lets us get our, the kinks out of our equipment. And this piece has just a good mixture of grass and clovers. There is a little bit of alfalfa in here, but we did not plant it. And it's just a good little field to start with. Make sure everything's running smoothly. And I'm hoping I can get Peter to stop up here for a minute and talk to us. Now, if you already thought we were crazy for starting a dairy farm, then I'm sure your convictions will be confirmed when you watch us cut hay and see how we've transformed what we used to do from what we do today. Now you can see Peter's kind of going at a good clip here, but I'm hoping I can get him to stop. I just love how that lays over like that. So I got Peter to stop to talk to us a little bit about our cutter bar and what we do and what we used to do, and even to tell us how he determines if this is ready to cut. So don't be aggravated. He's aggravated because he hit a rock and it tripped. So go ahead.
Well, this is our cutter bar. As you can see, it's not a haybine. Some people are thinking, well, cutter bars, you're going back to Grandpa's day or whatever. But not really. I mean, we looked at a lot of things. I looked at forage. I love to study forage, especially for our dairy cows and other animals, but mostly for our dairy cows. And we always had haybines. We've always cut with haybines up until the last. This is our 4th year with this cutter bar. And I looked and looked for, well, we looked and looked for at least 3 years before we found one at an auction that was used, because we didn't want to invest the money into something if we didn't know if it wasn't going to work. So we were able to get it at less than half the price of a brand new one, yet it was almost fairly brand new when we bought it. It was a retirement auction. And the man had used it to trim around his fields and the fence posts and all that, which is what we use it for. It's got more than one use, definitely. But we wanted something with a scissor cut for the hay, because the hay grows back so much faster. We didn't need to condition the hay, so we didn't need a set of rollers to run it through. And we didn't need to windrow it, because we want to lay it out so it dries and still soaks up the sun during the day. Because cutting it here in the morning, you really can't see it, but there's a heavy dew underneath this and it's really wet. And cutting it and laying it out like this, it's going to dry so much faster, but also these leaves are still going to be collecting the sunshine and the energy from the sun and creating chlorophyll and putting energy back into that plant. So we wanted to wide swath it, and we just seen so many more benefits to going to just a sickle bar rather than an entire machine that crimped it and windrowed it and everything else, because we didn't need that. That was one of the reasons, was the cut. The second reason was it's very simple. It has a PTO shaft that comes back to a belt that goes down to a cam down there, and it's got a set of rock, or it looks like a 2-cylinder crank that runs the cutter bar. And the reason it's not like the old standard cutter bar is because this thing's like a piranha on the cutter bar. Both the guards and the knives move back and forth. It's a very lightweight unit to run. It's very easy to run. There's no gearboxes.
We spent so much money on gearboxes on our haybines, and I will tell you that we have 3 haybines. We did keep one as a backup. We actually scrapped one, but we spent more every year than what this entire cutter cost us to purchase it.
And maintenance on haybines.
So
And I
it
think what
was
we spent
definitely
last year on this, like 30. It was less than $70
yeah. I don't.
on parts. We bought a new pin.
The
We
year
lost the
before
pin
we
and
bought a
lost the
cutter
bolt.
bar. I think wasn't.
We have never bought. It comes with an
Oh, I
extra
thought
cutter
we-
bar. We've never bought a cutter bar.
What did
for
we
it.
get in Batavia at the?
We bought a pin and a bolt.
Oh, I don't know what I was thinking, but anyway, this is, and I can personally run it. I clip pastures with it. This will be the first year that I'll cut hay with it, but in years past, our haybines were so finicky that I personally never ran them. Peter ran them because he knew how to run them without breaking them, and
Well,
or
there's a lot to watch and a lot to tinker with. This is very simple. It's very lightweight. It does the job we're trying to accomplish. There was just a recent article in Horde's Dairyman about forage. And basically, if you read it and you read what the man was saying about forage and for dairy cows and getting the most nutritious crop that you could for dairy cows, he basically suggested just using a cutter bar. The less we have to handle it and the less we process the hay, the better it is for the cows. Because I think of it a lot as a maple tree. I mean, you're trying to collect maple sap from a maple tree. That's the product you want. But with this hay, we want the entire plant plus the sugar and the sap. So why would we crimp it and squeeze it out of it to try to get dry faster and damage the more leaves and everything else? And also a good thing about this unit that we like about having just the sickle bar and the mower bar is it is so easy on fuel. They make a similar unit to this that runs a disc bind. But I don't like the disc cut because, number one, the way it cuts is like a little brush hog or your lawnmower, and it's constantly pulling on the plant or the roots and causing a lot of stress to the stem of the plant. Number two, we pull the knife out of this after a day anyway. We have an extra knife for it. It stays sharp. It takes less than 5 minutes to change the whole cutter bar in and out with a brand new knife that's sharpened, ready to go for the next day. How many guys actually pull their teeth off of those rotary mowers, those haybines, and sharpen their teeth on them every day to get a good cut? So after a while, those teeth wear, and they're basically hacking that hay off. They're not cutting it, they're hacking it.
and this is like a scissor cut, so we're not really pulling the plant up and pulling the soil up with it and mixing the soil in with the hay. I'm sure that that's one thing that we noticed, that it's a very clean product. The hay is.
And it's fuel efficient.
And I like it because it trips, you back up. If it trips, if you hit something, a lot of times it'll just float right over the top of what you're trying to cut. Now,
There's an obstruction. And if you look here, we cut high. This is up about 2.5 to 3 inches here, is how high we cut. It allows the grass to grow back quicker. We could cut it a lot lower and get more forage from the clovers, which don't really care if they're cut high or low because of the way they regrow from their crowns. But grass stores all of its energy and its regrowth right here at the bottom of its stem. So we like to try to keep a high cut here, and you'll be really impressed on how fast the grass will grow back and bounce back between cuttings.
I know we'll take at least 2 cuttings off of this little field, and
Or
then the
pasture.
cows will pasture it.
Now
So
you can see here some of this is starting to head out. It's just starting to head, some of it. The clover hasn't blossomed yet. The dandelions have come in. We don't care if there's dandelions in this hay. It's all good for the cows. So we try to get a happy medium. You can't wait forever to start cutting hay, and we're actually, this is May, 24th?
yeah, we're a little
We
late.
are almost 2.5 weeks late from when we normally cut our first cutting and stuff.
Yeah, I looked last year and we had cut this on May 9th. So we're a couple weeks behind. And we always have Max with us.
Yes.
And I will tell you, this is one of the problems with this cutter bar, if you have a dog, because it is so swift on the ground.
And quiet.
And quiet. You have to really watch your animal, and make sure that you always have your eyes watching him, because he tends to run around the tractor, and we don't want you to get hurt, huh? So, all right, well, if you have any questions, please just write them in the comments, and we will get back to you as quick as we can. And anything else? Final words of advice?
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple, keep it profitable.
Amen. All right, well, you guys have a great day, and we're going to let you get back to work. We're going to get back to work. We will see you tomorrow.